All right, so now that I put it on top of it, the first thing I'm gonna do is, before walking, I'm gonna true my line. And you see how beautiful this is rounded out, right? You know that sometimes this is a little poking up or down. You'll be able to adjust that here. But you know why this is so beautifully rounded? So smart. Maybe you're gonna pass the class. Anyway. Okay. Maybe. I didn't guarantee anything. And to be really honest, we're living time of uncertainty. We don't know if we're blonde or brunettes. Anyway, so I'm going to take advantage of this in two ways. First of all, I'm going to true the beginning, and I'm going to do the same thing when I get to the bottom. But at the same time, I'm going to check that my notches match. They should match because it came from there, but then again, the roundness of the cup, notice that the front is very straight and the cup is very round. What happens when it's round? It's on the bias. When it's on the bias, stretches out, right? So I'm going to walk. Oh, my notch is almost perfect. Oh no, it is perfect. That's pure luck. Listen guys, it's pure luck. I joke about making it perfect at the first time, but that's never true. You have to make adjustments. See the notch matches? Okay. And I apologize if I make this look effortless, and it's not. See this notch? It's a little bit lower. So I'm gonna adjust it. Okay. And then I'm gonna continue to the bottom. And when I get to the bottom, I notice that one side is a little bit longer than the other. Let me move it a little bit more on the center so you can see it in the video better, right? So whenever this doesn't match, again, I'm truing this. Whenever this doesn't match, I always have three options. I can always make the top longer, I can always make the top shorter, or I can always average it out, okay? And there is no 100% answer to that. You're gonna be the judge when you're doing that, okay? So in this case, to me, it looks like I shouldn't be averaging out because I'm gonna be changing the curve of the center front. I think that actually I should be shortening the side front. So I'm gonna take the ruler and I'm gonna blend it in. Just make sure that when you do all of these movings, you have your hand really firm on the pattern so it doesn't move. Because if it moves, guess what you need to do? Rewalk it, okay? So you can get your 10,000 fashion steps, right? That was a new one. Okay. All right. So now that I have the top and I have the bottom, now I just need to add seam allowances, okay? And these seam allowances are different. We're gonna use on the edge of the garment, 1/4 of an inch, okay? So the top of the neckline is the edge of the bustier, and the bottom of the bustier is the bottom of the bustier. So it's gonna have 1/4 and 1/4, and then 1/2 inch on all the other ones, except the place where the closure is will have 1 inch. And I say the place where the closure is because some of yours could be open on the front. I think that there is somebody that has lacing on both sides, right? So then you will have 1 inch on both sides, right? It's gonna make it easier for you to actually sew it when you do it, okay? So I'm gonna do 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/2 and 1/2, and then again 1/2, 1/4, 1/4. Huh?
What is that?
Because usually the top and the bottom is the edge of the garment. so you don't need to connect it to anything. You're not going to be pressing your seams open. And usually, like on my case, I have a corner, a point, and so on. I'm gonna have to trim it down anyway. So a 1/4 of an inch is more than enough. It actually makes it easier, and again, time is money. You don't have to recut it again. May as well just give you a 1/4 of an inch. All right? Now, if you're using a fabric that frails a lot, let's say for example, like Chanel's boucle, that it falls apart, maybe I will give it the 1/2 an inch to make sure that the threads are not coming out and then I end up having switching my piece. Does that make sense? But in usually standard fabrics, just a 1/4 of an inch would be enough. Okay? Say it again.
For the bag, if we have a zipper, it's
If you have a zipper, 1 inch. If you have grommets, 1 inch. If you have Velcro, 1 inch. If you have buttons, 1 inch. Whatever is the closure where it opens, 1 inch. Yes? Okay. So, gonna show you a little shortcut. I'm gonna add seam allowance here. I'm not gonna turn it over and use the rulers in here because I want it to be identical. I'm actually going to cut it. And when I open it, I'm gonna retrace. You know, we're measuring 1/2 an inch or a 1/4 of an inch out. I'm gonna measure from the edge a 1/4 of an inch in or 1/2 an inch in. It saves you time. Okay? Any questions? We can stop here, or you want me to see how I add seam allowance? I they. Okay.
I mean, unless people.
Huh? I asked and you answered. I'm gonna do it anyway to show you how is the finished pattern. I'm not trying to cut corners.
This is the front, the center front. That is folded on. That's cotton fold, right? No, the one that he's doing right now is the center front.
I'm gonna do just the center front to show you what I just explained and to reinforce one concept. So here is just a 1/4. Okay? By now you guys have seen all your grading things that I keep pointing out that you guys do not do these corners. Okay? Extend your lines all the way up. If I were to do notches, I would do a notch only here because I saw it from the top down. There is no need to have it on the other side. But if I have my line going all the way up to the top, I already know where the notch goes. I don't have to be guessing, right? Or measuring. So, to cut, I'm not gonna just cut. I'm gonna put pins because I want my two fabrics to be completely, two pieces of paper, I keep talking about fabrics, completely flat. May I borrow your scissors, please? Thank you. Now, you should be as precise as you can when you cut. You spend so much time trying to be precise and not changing the shape of the piece. So if you don't cut it in fabric or in paper, then you wasted time, right? When you transfer these notches into your seam allowance, you place them, you place your ruler on the seam and you do 90 degrees out, which I have pointed out to some of you guys. Don't just randomly place your ruler, okay? Place your ruler on the seam and do 90 degrees out.
Professor, when you cut, do you cut on the line or next to the line?
I cut on the line. I cut on next to the line and making it bigger.
Right, no, I just wanted to know.
Remember when I explained it says a hair and a hair and a hair, it makes a whole wig? That's where my comment comes, right? So I'm gonna transfer the same notches to the opposite side. If you have a notcher and you wanna use a notcher, I don't have one here. I can show you guys if you're interested. It is not mandatory to have it. It is to be used only on paper. Okay, do not use it on, oh, there you go. This is not to be used on fabric. This is to be used on paper. So, like the one that I have, after it wears out, it cuts only one side. So actually I had to cut on top and then flip it and cut the other side. If I want to be a little bit more detailed, I would go and only where my seam is gonna start. Okay, and I do want to have one in the center front when it's on the fold. Okay, so I did only half, right? Now I'm going to add it, open it, and I'm going to do the grain line, right? And I'm going to call these center front bustier, size 8, my name. Okay, and then now I'm going to get the ruler and I'm going to continue measuring, but instead of measuring from the line out, I'm going to measure now from the line in, which is the same thing. But you do want to have the line on both sides, not just the one that you make the pattern first. Stop it. Okay. Okay, so this is it. This is the front. Any questions? You want me to do the other one? No, you don't need to.